Let's start the pledging.
The EU kicked off its fundraising drive with €1 billion. In the hours that followed, pledges were beamed in from across the globe.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has pledged $500 million.
Even pop icon Madonna made a last-minute donation of €1 million. It wasn't enough to reach the fundraiser's target, but host Ursula von der Leyen insisted it sent the right signal.
Today is a defining moment for the global community. At a time when we are sitting further apart than usual, the world has shown it is standing closer together than ever before.
But not quite all of the world. A Chinese delegate took part but didn't pledge any money. Russia and the United States were both absent from the conference. For her part, the German Chancellor apparently couldn't resist a jab at the US President.
At a time when we don't always see multilateral cooperation as I would like, I think today's a very important signal of hope.
Germany was one of the leading donors, pledging over €500 million. The money is earmarked for international health organisations and research networks in a bid to speed up the development of a vaccine. Many scientists say it could be 18 months or more before a vaccine is ready for widespread use. And when it is, more money will be needed to ensure it can be produced in large quantities and distributed for a fair price around the world.
Today's sprint was a great start for our marathon. The marathon is the way ahead now. We need everyone on board.
United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres described the funds as a down payment. He said that to reach everyone, everywhere, the world must raise 5 times that amount.
Well, for more now, I'm joined by Mohammed Munir. He's a virologist from Lancaster University in the UK. Thanks for being with us this morning. Now, €7.4 billion was raised in that pledge drive for vaccine research. How is that money going to help us fight the coronavirus?
I think vaccines are really very expensive processes themselves. Mainly the development is not really too difficult and it's less time taking, relatively cheaper to do. But the major infrastructure required is to ramp up the capabilities in such a way that once vaccine become available, it is manufactured in the shortest possible time and it is distributed to every corner of the world. And this became even more important for this COVID-19 because we know the disease is very infectious. So even one country in the world is still reporting a disease. That means the threat would be hanging on the world at the same scale as it has been back in January. So therefore, the effort is really have been started to ramp up that capability and have enough resources that once we need to amplify, we have the resources there.
As an epidemiologist or a virologist in your case, what do you see as the biggest challenges in tackling this pandemic?
I think there are issues at all scales. For example, when we talk about epidemiological perspective, the major challenges that came now has been the infectiousness of this disease. I mean, we haven't seen such an infectious disease in recent time, at least in the living history, because if you look onto the data, within 3 months in the beginning, the disease has spread in every corner of the world. So infectiousness has been of a great surprise. And then it comes to some surprises because what in the beginning we've been thinking is that this coronavirus would be almost the same as the coronaviruses we have seen previously. But it turned out to be different. I mean, although the significance difference is not there, like only 1 to 2% difference is in the genetic makeup. But when it came up in terms of inducing immunity, in terms of infectiousness or asymptomatic carrier, all those things have been different from other viruses. So the challenges are multifold.
We keep hearing that it's going to take 12 to 18 months to develop a vaccine. Do you think things can be accelerated given what's at stake here and all the resources being thrown at it?
Well, normally vaccines are a really lengthy process to develop. The vaccine have normally 10 to 15 years to develop an effective vaccines. And the shortest time has been given for the mumps vaccine that took 5 years, and that was the record shortest time. For COVID-19, the timeline has been set up for 18 months. So this means even if we cut the time short onto every processes involved throughout the development of the process, we will have the vaccine on emergency use at the end of this year, but certainly not before that.
Okay.
And that is against the race against time and the money we have so far.
Thank you very much for talking with us. That was Mohammed Munir, a virologist from Lancaster University. Now let's get a roundup of some of the latest pandemic news around the world. German state premiers are expected to approve a plan to allow shops to reopen and to get Bundesliga soccer matches going again. With New Zealand reporting no new cases for a second straight day, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern dialed into an Australian cabinet meeting to discuss reopening borders between the neighbouring countries. Malaysia and India have begun to ease part of their lockdown measures, but both governments have urged caution as cases continue to rise. And Thailand reported its lowest number of new infections since March 9th, with 1 new case and no new deaths.
And for more on this, I'm joined now by Dr. Seth Berkley. He's an epidemiologist and CEO of the Vaccine Alliance Gavi, G-A-V-I. That's a public-private partnership that leads immunization campaigns in poor countries around the world. Dr. Berkley, it's good to have you on the show. Let's talk about the money here for a moment. We got pledges today about 7.4 billion euros for research to help find a vaccine. Is that enough?
Well, first of all, that 7.4 billion was for vaccines, treatments, and diagnostics. Of that, around 4 billion was earmarked for vaccines. And that really is to both fund research today for about 2 billion, but also to begin to prepare for scaling up the manufacturing, as well as thinking about being able to have instruments to be able to purchase vaccines for those living in the poorest countries. Of course, depending upon the vaccine technology, is it 1 dose, 2 doses? How is it made? What's it going to cost? We don't know that yet.
What about the no-shows today? China and the United States not participating. Is that going to impact the development of a vaccine?
Well, for science, this is a global problem, you want a global effort. You want the best vaccines anywhere they are in the world, the best science, to then be scaled up and delivered to everywhere in the world. If we move to national efforts, we won't optimize for the science. And it's not just the vaccine, it may be things you put in the vaccine to make them stimulate better, or manufacturing needs to be done. The way science works is global, that's the way we can best do it.
You are leading the charge to make sure the vaccines are available to everyone. What are you demanding tonight from world leaders?
Well, the most important thing, first of all, is to have that mindset that says this is a global problem, we need a global solution. And why is that important? If you are thinking about it, if there are large reservoirs of virus anywhere in the world is not safe. Not just those countries that have the virus, but the world. So if we can get a sense that says we have to stop this pandemic everywhere in the world, because we saw what happened. It started with a few cases in outside of Wuhan, and it spread to 180 countries over a few months. So we need to make sure that we have this vaccine available for everybody in the world.
Dr. Berkley, based on your experience, when can we realistically expect a vaccine? I mean, we're getting predictions that something could be available as soon as the end of September.
Well, I think it's too early to say what's going to win, since we don't have clinical data in humans from any of the vaccines. The good news is science is moving quickly. There are 102 approaches on the WHO website. Already we have 8 products in humans, but we're going to need to understand, are those products showing promise? Are we seeing results? Is it going to be a linear pathway? Often in vaccinology, you have to go back and change the dosing and work more on it. So I think it's going to take some time. If we're very, very lucky, we could see some results by the fall, but I don't think we're going to have licensed product by then by any means.
Okay, Dr. Seth Berkley joining us tonight from Geneva, Switzerland. Dr. Berkley, we appreciate your time and your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.